Hey guys, it's TMO from Flipping Central back here with another video where today I'm going to be doing a quick little review on the best $40 graphics card you haven't heard about. Alright, so the graphics card in question is the RX 560 XT. The AMD RX 560 XT is a beefier version of the RX 560 based on Polaris, hosting 28 compute units, 112 texture units, 32 render output units, and it's being offered in either a 4GB or 8GB variant. The normal RX 560 4GB only has 16 compute units, 64 texture units, and 16 render output processors. The RX 560 XT also uses double the amount of power almost, so the 560 XT uses 150 watts, whereas the 560 4GB uses up to 80 watts. With that being said, the 560 XT needs usually at least an 8-pin power plug, whereas the regular 460 will need either a 6-pin or can be powered just off of the motherboard. So, in terms of all of those specs, the RX 560 XT sounds a lot better already than the 560 4GB, but we'll have to see how they perform in games. It's also quite a bit closer to the RX 570 on paper, but we'll have to see as well how that does in games. I'll be comparing it using the 560 4GB and the 570 4GB. The 560 XT we have in question is an 8GB model. The regular RX 560 debuted in May of 2017 for $130 US for the 4GB variant. The RX 560 XT was a refreshed variant that came out in March of 2019 for a price of 1,000 won. It only debuted in China, and that's the only place you can get it from. So me personally, I bought it off of AliExpress for around $40, which is what they cost around that price on sale nowadays. 1,000 won at the time was worth about $150 US. This card blew me away in terms of its performance for its price bracket. Nothing you can get used is gonna perform around this good with this type of power consumption and at this type of form factor. Usually you can get really small cards and really slim cards as well that you can put in cheap computers, such as maybe something with a Ryzen 3 or Ryzen 5, or just a simple flip that you would want to do. A friend and a fellow Discord member, Toasty, actually sent me the link for this, and he said he didn't really know much about it, but I decided to bite the bullet and see what the 560 was really about. I paid $39.41 after tax and shipping to my doorstep. It took around 10 days for it to be delivered after I ordered the product. The card in question is branded Elsa, but there's not really any sort of significant branding or video card model in specific. I'll be testing a card up against my RX 570 Red Dragon from Power Color and my Sapphire Pulse RX 560 4GB from Sapphire. And yes, I know, it would probably be ideal if I used an 8GB 570 to compare, but it's not what I had on hand. I think it's quite the miracle that I even had a 560 and a 570 that I could use to test at the same time, so we're just gonna use this for now. I will admit, at least in a few of the games that I tested, the 570 definitely would have benefited from having the extra VRAM, and I think it probably would have made the difference to edge out the 560 XT. Anyways, for the games that I tested, I had Cyberpunk 2077 at low settings, Forza Horizon 5 at medium settings, Valorant at pro settings, Fortnite at pro settings, and Rocket League at high settings. For Forza and Cyberpunk, I used the in-game benchmarking tools so that way it could be a little bit more accurate. The test bench I'm using today consists of a Ryzen 3 3200G, 8GB of RAM, a Gigabyte A520 S2H motherboard, and a 500 watt Great Wall Gold power supply. Let's see how the three cards compare in our test. Alright, now that you've seen the results, I think that the RX 570 and the 560 XT were a lot closer than I was personally expecting at first. In most games, they were neck and neck or slightly outperforming one another. Overall, it seems the 560 XT was released to be a stopgap, more so a lower level card in AMD's lineup, in and around the time the 58500 XT was released. The RX 564GB kinda got dusted here, and to be honest, I'm not really too surprised after seeing the specs on paper compared to the 560 XT. Fortunately, I think it's still a pretty decent card, especially if you just want to play some really simple games like your Roblox, CSGO, those type of small, easy to run games. And especially if you throw it into something like a Dell Optiplex or an older platform in general, something that doesn't need a lot of power, I think it's still a good card. If you can spare the extra money and the extra wattage, I think the 560 XT is a no-brainer at this price. The test bench wasn't ideal for these tests, but it is something that is more realistic, and it's what I had on hand. Personally, I really think that the test bench is something that could actually be paired in a real world scenario. Regardless, I really hope you all enjoyed this really quick video, and yeah, what are your thoughts on the 560 XT? Stay tuned for more in the future, and yeah, if you liked it, leave a like. If you want to leave a comment of any kind, just drop it down below. It's greatly appreciated, and if you like our content, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you all for sticking to the end, and see ya!